November 16, 2014, from the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, was the Detroit Lions at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals won the toss and they elected to receive, so they would take over first. They started with the ball on their own 20. They were faced with a 3rd and 11 from the 19. Drew Stanton then found Brown for a 12-yard pass to pick up the first down at the 31. They were then faced with a 2nd and 5 from the 36, and Stanton went to Brown. He was intercepted by Quinn, but there was a defensive holding penalty, and so it would still remain the Cardinals' ball. Ellington then ran for 17 yards on the first down from the 41, and that would bring the ball across midfield into the Detroit 42. And so now first down for the Cardinals. Drew Stanton dropped back to pass, and he found Floyd for a 42-yard touchdown. So now it was 7-0 as the Cardinals put the first points on the scoreboard. So now the Lions would take over on their own 19-yard line, but they would go 3 and out and punt the ball to the Cardinals. So now the Cardinals took over with a little less than 10 minutes left in the first quarter, and they had the ball on their own 23. And so with the ball on their own 23, a few plays later, they were faced with 3rd and 8 from the 25, and Stanton hit Hughes for a 49-yard pass that would bring the ball across midfield into the Detroit 26. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 12, Stanton hit Floyd for their second touchdown connection of the game. This one, like I said, a 12-yarder, and it was 14-0 Cardinals over the Lions. So now Detroit would take over on their own 20 with about 6 minutes left in the first. They're facing a 2nd and 3 from the 27, and Joique Bell ran for 33 yards to make it a first down on the Arizona 40. They then would stall on the 32, and out would come Matt Prater to attempt a 50-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Lions were on the scoreboard with the score now 14-3, Arizona over Detroit. So now the Cardinals would take over with less than 3 minutes left in the first quarter. They had the ball on their own 20. Stanton found Fitzgerald for a 22-yard pass to make it a first down on the 42. A few plays later, it was 2nd and 10 from the Detroit 49. Stanton hit Ellington for a 5-yard pass, and the first quarter came to a close. So after one quarter of play, the score was Arizona 14, Detroit 3. To open up things in the second quarter, the Cardinals had the ball on the Detroit 44. They were facing a 3rd and 5 situation. Drew Stanton then found John Brown for a 30-yard pass, and that made it a first down in the red zone on the Detroit 14. So now on first down, Stanton dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Bynes, and it was now Lions ball on their own 22. So now Detroit took over with a little over 14 minutes left before halftime. They were actually faced with a 3rd and 12 from the 20. Stafford dropped back, and he found Golden Tate for a 30-yard pass that brought the ball to the 50. The Lions then faced 3rd and 1 from the Arizona 41, and Stafford hit Calvin Johnson for a 4-yard pass, and that made it a first down. Then on 1st and 10 from the 37, a face mask against the offense made it 1st and 25 from the 48. They were then faced with a 3rd and 13 and an incomplete pass along with a penalty, which was declined though, would bring out the punting unit. So the Lions would punt the ball. So now Arizona would take over with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. They were backed up against their own end zone on their own 7-yard line. Ellington though ran for 7 yards on first down and then another yard on second down to make it 3rd and 2 from the 15, and Stanton hit Carlson for a 4-yard pass to make it a first down on the 19. They then picked up another first down, but their drive would stall on the 26, and they would be forced to punt the ball. They actually ended up with a penalty on that punt as well, but that was after the punt, and it was against the Lions for holding. And so now the Lions would take over with less than 5 minutes left in the first half. They had the ball on their own 21. Joique Bell then ran for 13 yards on first down to bring it out to the 34. They were then faced with 3rd and 5, and there was a penalty of offensive pass interference that would make it 3rd and 15. An incomplete pass then brought out the punting unit, and the Lions punted the ball. So now the Cardinals would take over with about 2.5 minutes left in the first half. And on 2nd and 6 from the 40, Drew Stanton dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Vaughn. And so now the Lions would take over on the Arizona 19 with 2 minutes on the game clock before halftime. Joique Bell would pick up 4 yards on first down, but only a yard on second. That would bring up 3rd and 5 from the 14, and Stafford would go to Ebron for a 4-yard pass, and they were just shy of the first down. The Lions called timeout and brought Matt Prater out to attempt a 28-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was now 14-6 as the Lions cut the Cardinals' lead to 8 points just before halftime. The Cardinals would take a knee, and this game did go to intermission. So at halftime, the Arizona Cardinals were in the lead 14-6 over the Detroit Lions. So now the Lions would start things off in the second half with the ball on their own 20. Stafford would go to Megatron for a 15-yard pass on first down to bring the ball out to the 35. Joique Bell then ran for 21 yards to make it a first down on the 44 of Arizona. But then their drive stalled on the 40, and they would punt the ball, as that would be something that happened quite a bit in this game. And now the Arizona Cardinals took over after another strong stance by their defense that bends but does not break. But the Cardinals now had the ball on their own 20. They were actually faced with a 2nd and 17 from the 13, and Stanton hit Carlson for a 16-yard pass that brought up 3rd and 1 from the 29, and Hughes ran for 2, and that made a first down on the 31. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 35 of Arizona, Drew Stanton dropped back, and he found John Brown for a 14-yard pass that made a first down on the 49. But then after a 7-yard loss by Ellington, it was 2nd and 17. Taylor picked up 5, and that brought up 3rd and 12, and an incomplete pass would bring out the punting unit. So now the Lions would take over with about 6.5 minutes left in the third. They had the ball on their own 16, and they would end up bringing the ball up towards midfield when on 1st and 10 from the 32, Stafford ended up throwing an incomplete pass, but roughing the passer would make it the first down. But a few plays later, though, it was 3rd and 13 from the 44. Stafford dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Johnson. So the Cardinals now would take over with 4 minutes left in the third. They had the ball on their own 22. They would go 3 and out, though, and they punted the ball to the Lions, who would also go 3 and out. And so now with just 30 seconds left in the third, Arizona would take over on their own 9-yard line. They lost a yard, and the third quarter came to a close. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Arizona 14, Detroit 6. So now to start the fourth quarter, the Cardinals had the ball on their own 8-yard line, faced with 2nd and 11. Stanton then had found Hausler for a 27-yard pass, and that made it a first down on the Arizona 35. Stanton then hit Ellington, and Ellington took it 24 yards all the way across midfield into the Detroit 41 for the first down. They were then faced with a 3rd and 5, and Stanton threw an incomplete pass that was on the Detroit 36. And instead of going for a long field goal from the 36, that would have made it a 51-yard attempt. They ended up punting the ball. And so now the Lions would take over. They had the ball on their own 1-yard line. It was actually under review as if it had gone out or if it was a touchback, but it was ruled that it was down on the 1. And so with 12 minutes left in the game, the Lions trailing by 8 points would start off on their own 1-yard line, needing to go 99 yards. They would end up picking up a first down on 3rd and 7 from the 4 when Stafford went to Joique Bell for a short pass, and Joique went 21 yards off of the reception to make it a first down on the 25. And then on 3rd and 6 from the 29, Stafford hit Theo Riddick for a short pass, and he took that 16 yards to make it a first down on the 45 of the Lions. But then on 3rd and 15, Stafford went to Megatron, and he picked, or 3rd and 15, he went to Megatron and he picked up 13, and that would make it 4th and 2. And it was 4th and 2 from the Arizona 47 with just under 7 minutes left on the clock, and the Lions elected to go for it, but an incomplete pass would turn the ball over on downs. So now the Cardinals would take over with less than 7 minutes left in this game. They had the ball on their own 47, and they would end up punting the ball 4 plays later. So now Detroit would get the ball back with 4.5 minutes left in the game. They had it on their own 11, still trailing by 8 points, needing to go 89 yards. They ended up picking up a first down on 2nd and 10 from the 11 when Joique Bell ran for 13 yards to bring it out to the 24 for the first down. But they would end up punting the ball soon after. They were faced with a 3rd and 12 from the 22, and Stafford fumbled, but they did recover. And so now the punting unit came out and they punted the ball to the Cardinals with less than 3 minutes on the clock. The Cardinals had the ball now on their own 41. They were faced with a 3rd and 6, and they had a false start, and so now it's 3rd and 11 from the Arizona 40. The Lions needed a stop. Drew Stanton dropped back to pass on 3rd and long, and he hit Larry Fitzgerald on a short pass. Fitzgerald picked up the first down. They only needed 11, and that's what they got, and this game went to the 2-minute warning. And so now after the 2-minute warning, with no timeouts left for the Lions, as they had used their timeouts earlier in this possession of Arizona, they'd burned their last 2 before the 2-minute warning. And so now all that was left to do was for Drew Stanton to take 3 knees, and this game came to a close. It was a low-scoring defensive battle, and the Cardinals win with the final score, Arizona 14, Detroit 6. And with the victory, the Cardinals are now 9-1 on the season, and they are undefeated in Arizona with a record of 6-1 at home. And the Cardinals, with the victory, are the first team to reach 9 victories in 2014. The Lions are 7-3 with the loss and are 3-2 on the road. And in this game, Drew Stanton, who got the start because of the injured Carson Palmer, Drew Stanton was 21 for 32 with 306 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Matthew Stafford was 18 for 30 with 183 passing yards and 1 interception. The leading rusher in this game was Joique Bell. He had 85 yards off of 14 carries. He averaged 6.1 per carry. The leading receiver in this game was John Brown for Arizona. He had 69 yards off of 5 receptions. Megatron, Calvin Johnson Jr. had 5 receptions for 59 yards. He was the leading receiver for the Lions. The leading tackler in the game was DeAndre Levy for Detroit. He had 10 tackles. Bucannon was Arizona's leading tackler, Deone Bucannon. And the Cardinals had 4 sacks, 2 of which were for Okafor. And Rucker and Powers had the other 2 sacks. The Lions did not get any sacks in this game. They did have 2 picks. Vaughn had a pick and Bynes had a pick. And for the Cardinals, Johnson had a pick. So a defensive battle, low scoring. They combined for only 20 points. And the final score, Arizona 14, Detroit 6.